So, how about the late game, eh? Apologies for the voice, my dry cough has gotten even worse, so there you go. It doesn't feel great talking about this stuff in the morning, but still, we have a show to do, so we're going to power through it either way. Let's talk about yesterday's Battle of Alberta Game 2, as well as the update we have received by Bob Hartley, of all people, on backup goaltender for the Oilers, Mikko Koskinen. Now, I'll get this out of the way first because I want to do a lot of conversation about the other stuff too. Apparently, according to 91.9 Sports Radio, Bob Hartley says that Koskinen is going to Lugano next season in Switzerland. So, stick around for my analysis on that. But let's talk about the Battle of Alberta Game 2 first, because that is also on my mind this lovely morning as well. I know, that's what I titled and thumbnailed the video. Oh, it's this Koskinen news that kind of came out of nowhere, but because we didn't make a video talking about Calgary-Edmonton Game 2 from yesterday, mostly due to the game ending at like 10:30 p.m. here in Vancouver, which made it 11:30 over there and 1:30 in Toronto for all those folks on the East Coast watching the game. It was really late. I didn't like how the NHL scheduled everything for yesterday's programming, but still. Very good comeback for the Oilers. Jacob Markstrom really does not look like the Jacob Markstrom that I've known and loved over the past few years in Vancouver and in Calgary too. But ultimately, yesterday's game saw two pretty big stars come to play. Connor McDavid, because that guy is a god amongst men, a god amongst boys, if you will. He is just so gosh darn good. And then you had Mike Smith, who absolutely stole the show after letting in a few goals at the start of the game again. Calgary blows back-to-back leads in games 1 and 2. In game 1, it was 5-1, only for the Oilers to score 4 unanswered and get the game tied. Even though Calgary won 9-6, it's still a point of contention to acknowledge that Markstrom let in all those goals. Bad angles, bad shots, honestly, it wasn't really all too great. And then Game 2 was 2-0 Calgary after 6 minutes of gameplay. Like, I was freaking out on Twitter, saying, oh my gosh, the Flames, they're going to go out there and they're dominating, it's going to be a 4-0 sweep, Calgary, oh boy, Edmonton sucks, and eventually, it was 3-1. The Flames had a 3-1 lead 2 minutes into the second, and then Edmonton just powered through and scored 4 unanswered to take it 5-3. So, Calgary is showing vulnerabilities in this series that they had not shown against the Dallas Stars. Of course, the Stars don't have the same high-octane firepower that the Oilers do. They don't have a McDavid, they don't have a Draisaitl, so it's a little bit different in that respect, but still, it's a very interesting matchup we're watching, and it's fun. I just don't like how late the games are coming on, like, even for the folks over there in Alberta. Like, come on, an 8:30 start time? That does not sound fun at all. So, it's a 1-1 series. We're probably going to 7. I can't wait to see Connor McDavid get a hat trick or something in the next game or something. Let's just hope for the best in this entertaining series. It's obviously, like, the best series out of all the 4-1s going on right now, isn't it? Like, I'm sorry, but Tampa, Florida, I've been watching those games too, just seeing Florida choke things away and Tampa winning again. It's always Tampa wins again, is it not? Carolina, New York is frustrating because you know both of these teams are capable of more. And then St. Louis, Colorado, I mean, it's a good series, but I just like the Battle of Alberta more. Is that too bad? I don't know. But either way, we had some extra Oilers news that does not revolve around the guy that tended the crease last night. It revolves around the guy that had a significant role in Game 1, wherein he got lit up for, 4 goals? Something like that? No. 5 goals. That's what it was, right. We're talking about backup goalie Mikko Koskinen and the news that we had from Bob Hartley speaking on 91.9 Sports Radio about Koskinen and his future. Now, if you didn't know, Koskinen, one of the tallest goalies in the NHL, he's a backup, he's making $4.5 million a season, he's been making that amount of money since 2019, and the contract expires this season. With Mikko Koskinen being the goalie that he is, which is a goalie that definitely is not worth $4.5 million a year. It's just Peter Chiarelli, for some reason, thought that he was at the time. It looks even worse now because the salary cap and everything is not really going up nowadays. But Koskinen, for a good chunk of the Oilers' past few years, has always been around. He hasn't necessarily ever taken over the starting role aside from his first year on the team after coming over from SKA St. Petersburg. He had a pretty alright set of numbers in 2019-20 though, 917 save percentage and a 275 in 38 games played. Of course, that was the season that was cut short due to the pandemic. He didn't perform well for the Oilers in the play-in series either against the Chicago Blackhawks that year. The next few years saw things get kind of worse for Mikko Koskinen, posting up an 899 save percentage in 2020-2021 and a 903 save percentage this year. He's not a goalie that definitely deserves that amount of money. He just kind of lucked into the contract. Now, because he's in a position where the contract is expensive and he had this big load on his shoulders because, hey, he's supposed to be the starter here in Edmonton, there was a lot of criticism and a lot of demand, I guess you could say, from Oilers fans onto saying, hey, they need to trade for a goalie. Mike Smith is just not cutting it. Mikko Koskinen absolutely not cutting it. Sure, there was that period of time where Mike Smith was out in the regular season this year, and Mikko Koskinen actually came up to play and kept the Oilers in the postseason race, which is good for him. And he honestly isn't that bad of a goalie. Like, sure, he's inconsistent as all heck, and he lets a lot of goals go in that probably shouldn't go in once in a while, but I really don't think he is as bad as his reputation proceeds itself to be. It's just, you know, when you play in Edmonton, when you play in a Canadian market, that pressure is pretty noteworthy, is it not? So with the news that apparently Koskinen is taking his talent over to Switzerland next season to play for Hockey Club Lugano, good for him. That's all I kind of gotta say there. Firstly, look, he had such a huge payout from Peter Chiarelli on that $4.5 million a year by 3-year deal, which he absolutely did not deserve. Like, he's not that good of a goalie. Either his agent is absolutely phenomenal, or Peter Chiarelli is just dumb. And, yeah, maybe it's a little bit of both, But either way, Koskinen got paid the past few years. He definitely was not in the territory of being able to get that money based off of his performance. So now, I guess it would be a lot more calming to the mind to say, okay, let's go to a place where I can just play hockey, be really good, because I'm not playing Johnny Gaudreau every other game. We're playing the guys in the Swiss League who admittedly are not as good, and I get to play in Lugano. Go over on the Google and search up Lugano in Switzerland, because my gosh, that is one of the most beautiful cities I've ever seen in the world, and I would love to go there one day as well. Yeah, maybe when my dry cough heals. I'm not too sure. Maybe I can even see Mikko Koskinen play a hockey game live there. But just for the peace of mind aspect of the entire thing, I could totally understand why Koskinen would say, okay, yeah, I'm kind of done in the NHL, I just want to chill out and relax and have a fan base that can actually cheer for me, because the Oilers fan base certainly was not that. Now, there were so many reasons that Koskinen gave to the team and to the fans to not cheer for him, but at the end of the day, at least the guy was not making Bobrovsky money, so I guess there's that going for him. In fact, I'm trying to think about it now. Is there any other player on the Oilers over the past few years who was as... oh boy, am I going to say overhated? Is overhated the right word to use? I know there was some criticism that was valid for Koskinen over the past few years, but I do feel like a lot of the sentiment from the fans and the media towards this guy was a little bit undeserved, because he did have some good stints, especially towards the end of this year when Mike Smith was out with injury. Sure, now that they're in the playoffs and he's actually playing, he let in 5 goals, and the Flames just kept on going and going and going. So that's not good. It's definitely not. But either way, you could talk to me in the comments all your thoughts about Mikko Koskinen heading over to Switzerland. Apparently, according to Bob Hartley, as we said, Bob Hartley, very weird source. Like, why the heck is he coming out here and breaking this news? I definitely didn't have Bob Hartley breaking Mikko Koskinen's free agent destination for 2022-2023 on my bingo card. Do I think Koskinen would have been good enough to actually get another NHL job in 2022-2023? Honestly, probably. Like, I don't think he would not have gotten any offers at the very least, especially as a guy who's 6'7", but I mean, as I said, if he feels like he wants to go play in a chill environment like Switzerland rather than playing in the NHL again, then that is his call. So it's definitely one that I can understand, especially from the perspective of Koskinen and all the stuff that he has had to deal with over the past few years here in Edmonton. So talk to me in the comments all your thoughts. I hope you enjoyed this British Trolls 99, and bye.